Alright, today we're going to be talking about writing inequalities. So we have some phrases here. Alright, this first phrase, this means less than, or it can also mean fewer than. So whenever you see that symbol, that means less than or fewer than. There are a couple words that represent that. When we look at this symbol right here, well, this symbol means it's greater than, or it's more than, or it must exceed. So if it must exceed this, that means something must exceed another number. So these are what these symbols mean. These are our inequality symbols. So we're going to start talking about these inequalities. We have to know what our symbols mean and the keywords that represent these different symbols. Well, the third one, this is at most, no more than. So it can be at most, it can equal that value, all right, but it can be no more than that. So at most $10. So we can spend at most $10. Well, we can spend $10. Or we can watch no more than 3 hours of TV tonight. So we can watch 3 hours, but we can't go over that. And then the last one we have at least is the same thing at most, but at least that means it has to be at least that, no less than. So something is no less than this amount, no less than. We also have greater than or equal to. And actually I forgot for this one here, this is cannot exceed. So it cannot exceed this. And this is less than or equal to. So if you see less than or equal to, since it has that equal sign underneath the inequality, that's less than or equal to there. So we're going to be matching some of these statements here. So if we look at the first statement says the sum of a number and 5 more than the number is less than 15. The sum of a number and 5 more than the number is less than 15. Well, we know it has to be less than 15. So less than 15 is going to give us less than 15. This is the sum of a number and 5 more than a number. Well, here's 5 more than a number, and the sum of them, so you have your number plus 5 more than a number, so the first one's H, is less than 15. A number times 5 is greater than 15. Well, a number times 5 is greater than 15, so that's 5 times n greater than 15. So our answer is D. So we used D, we used H. A number less negative 7 is less than or equal to 5. A number less 7 is less than or equal to 5. Well, we have less than or equal to. Our number less negative 7 is less than or equal to 5. So the third one is E. The difference between a number and 7 is less than 0. The difference means to subtract, between a number and 7 is less than 0. So that answer is going to be C. So now there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 more. All right, pause it, try to answer them, and then when you get your 4 answers, start it up again and check to see if they're right. I'm going to just put up the answers. So the next one, the sum of a number and 7 is greater than or equal to 15. The sum of a number and 7 greater than 15. That's going to be A. Then we have a number is greater than 15. A number is greater than 15. That will be G, the number greater than 15. Twice a number is less than 20. That will be S. That's 2n is less than 20. The sum of a number and 9 is less than 30. That's n plus 9 less than 30. That will be B. So hopefully check A, G, F, and B for those 4. Now it says, what are some words or phrases that could trick you? Well, one key example is going to be 5 is less than X. So that is represented as 5 is less than x compared to 5 less than x. Well, 5 less than x, that is x minus 5. So you have to see the difference between this word is. Since it says 5 is less than x, well, that gives you your inequality symbol. Whereas it says 5 less than x, that's just x minus 5. Another key one is at most. At most, it cannot go above this value. Alright, so since it can't go above, so it's less than. And then at least, it can't go below. So it can't go below. So it's greater than or equal to. So at most, it can't go above that value. That's the highest value compared to at least it can't go below that value. And then we get to writing some of these. So when we look at this, all right, we'll do the first two together and then answer the second two. So the first one, it says 3x plus 5, our inequality symbol 41. Well, this means 3 times a number. So we have 3 times a number plus 5 is, we could say, is greater than or is at least 41. That means it can be anything greater than 41. Now, this one, you see how it says 5,000? What we want to do is we want our x to be on the opposite side, so we're just going to rewrite this. So we're just going to flip this. So since 40x minus 50 is greater than 5,000, we're just going to say this is really 40x minus 50 is greater or equal to 5,000. Now what we can do is we can write our equation here. Well, we can say 40 is going to represent something, so we can say each person pays $40 for dinner. So if each person pays $40 for dinner, and we also are having a party, so we spend a total of $50 for supplies, and you spend $50 on supplies, our profit, so we're having a dinner, so we're charging people to come to our dinner, so $40 for the dinner, we spend $50 on supplies, we want to make a profit that's more than $5,000. So our profit, the profit must exceed $5,000. So what we're saying is we're having a dinner, we invited our people to our dinner, they're paying $40 to come in, so that's $40 for each person. We spent $50 for the supplies for whatever it is, and we want to make $5,000. We want to exceed 5,000, so we can make 5,001, 5,200, anything greater than 5,000. So now what I want you to do is try to hit the pause and try to write 2 more statements for the next 2 questions. All right, now let's go over these. So the next one, we have 8x minus 3 and then inequality 15. Well, the difference, we're subtracting, so the difference between 8 times a number, so 8 times a number, so that's 8 times a number, so the difference between 8 times a number and 3 is greater than 15. So the difference between 8 times a number and 3 is greater than 15. Now with the last one here, the sum, because we're adding, so the sum of, now it's 1/2 of the x, so the sum of half a number and 25 is less than 35. So now you didn't have to use the exact same words as that, but you need something that represents subtraction, something that represents addition, so and represents greater than here and less than in the fourth one. And now we have 4 more questions. Now we are given our statement and we have to write the inequality. So we'll do the first 2, you answer the second 2, and then check your answers. So number 1, it says 3 times a number increased by 6 is at least 24. Well, 3 times a number, that's our 3 times our number, which is 3x. Increased means to add. Adding how much? We're adding 6 is at least. Well, at least means it has to be anything more than that. So at least 24. So we come up to this equation as 3x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 24. If we look at number 2, 50 people are seated in the movie theater. The maximum capacity of the theater is 425 people. How many more people can sit in the theater? Well, we have 50 people, and we're trying to figure out how many more. Well, we don't know how many more people, plus there's already 50 people. Well, we have to be less than 425. There's only enough seats for 425. So the people seated, plus the 50 people in there, has to be less than or equal to 425. Once again, pause it, answer 3 and 4. When you're done, start it up, and we'll go over these answers. Okay, number 3, 8 less than 3 times the number is at most 30. Well, 8's less than 3 times the number, so that's going to be 3n. 8's less than that, so we're going to do minus 8 is at most, so it cannot go over 30. So 8 is less than that 3n, and at most it can't go over 30. A small elevator cannot exceed 1,200 pounds, otherwise the cable will snap. They load 20 boxes of books on the elevator, plus the mover weighs 175 pounds. What's the average weight each box of books could be? Well, for this one, it cannot exceed 1,200 pounds. So we know it has to be less than or equal to 1,200 pounds. Well, what's going in the elevator? Well, we have some books, so we're putting some boxes of books. We don't know how many boxes, but each box is 20 pounds. So it's going to be 20 pounds for each box of books. And then the mover is also going in the elevator, and he's 175 pounds. So that's how we get our inequality here. So hopefully this all makes sense on writing inequalities.